Remember, you have to do an exclusive for us, right?
Oh yes. A very happy noon to all my soul sisters from across boundaries. How's the Josh?
Hi.
I didn't hear the word hi, sir.
Hi, ma'am.
Okay, hi, sir is okay because it means super I remain always. Okay, the topic for today: women in leadership roles, the harbingers of change. The first word, women. W-O-M-E-N. Can I have you people pronounce it, please?
Women. It's women.
Slower.
Women.
Much slower.
Women.
We men.
We men.
Isn't it? We men. We men in leadership roles, the harbingers of change. So there are mainly two things. The first one is women in leadership roles, and the second one is the harbingers of change. Coming to the first one. The GEM, Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring Report 2016-17 reports 2,074 million women running their own businesses across 74 economies, of which 111 million of them are well established and are running really well. Recent studies indicate that women reinvest 90% of their earnings back into the health and education of their families, of their communities, of their societies at large, compared to men who reinvest only 30 to 40%. Huge gap, isn't it? That's why we make better leaders. Apart from this, coming down to our own motherland, India. As per the 6th Economic Census released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, out of 58.5 million entrepreneurs in our country, 8.05 million of them are women, constituting 14% of total entrepreneurship in India. Indian women-owned business provide employment to 13.45 million people. I repeat, 13.45 million people. A 2015 study by McKinsey shows that with equal participation of women in the economy, India's GDP can rise by 16 to 60% by 2025, which means an addition of $2.9 trillion to the Indian economy. Isn't that wonderful? Women in leadership roles. Coming to the second one, the harbingers of change. To quote Xiang Wei, moderator and host CCTV News China Central Television, any society that fails to harness the energy and creativity of its women is at a huge disadvantage in the modern world, unquote. Glass ceiling to glass cliff. Women have always borne the brunt. May it be Theresa May, Marisa Mayer, Anne Mulcahy, maybe Tibara, or our own Arundhati Bhattacharya. They were all promoted to clean up the mess. How many of us have heard this? When the world is in crisis, bring in the women. When the corporate world is in crisis, bring in the women. Thanks to gender diversity or gender representation on corporate boards. Miles to go, women. Women have either been viewed as ornaments to society or property to be traded off in marriage. I have heard it myself, wherein women themselves saying, if a boy is born, it is an asset. He is an asset to the family. If a girl is born, she is a liability to the family. Heights of hysteria, isn't it? Yes. I can give you a very good example for this. Haryana experienced something called as purchased brides. Yes. Purchased brides, imagine about it. Thanks to Empower NGO, an army of 400 purchased brides are now survivor leaders. They are the harbingers of change. They are out in the field, making their way in the face of adversity to square the circle of bright trafficking, helping other deprived women live a better life. Zozi Bini Thunzi, during her final question and answer round in Mrs. India Universe 2019 this year, was asked a beautiful question. What is the most important thing? What is the most important thing that we have to teach young girls today? She said, the most important thing that we can teach our young girls today is leadership. She says, I think we are the most powerful beings in the world, and that we should be given every opportunity. And that is what we should be teaching young girls today, to take up space. Take your space. Nothing is as important as taking up space in the society today. I have a small question for you all now. Have you all heard about women empowerment? Yes?
Yes.
How many of us have heard about men empowerment? Let us understand this word empowerment. What does it simply mean? What is the first word that comes to you when you hear the word empowerment?
Uplifting.
Uplifting?
Yes. Uplifting.
Yes. Any other?
Empowering.
Empowering. Yes. Anything else? Empower. Just the simple.
Emancipation.
Yes.
Emancipation.
Emancipation.
Support.
Support. Wonderful. Thank you for those wonderful answers. I went through this Cambridge dictionary. In simple terms, empowerment means, let me read it for you, to encourage and support the ability to do something. Why is it required only for women?
Definitely not. It's for
Definitely not. We are Indians. Since ages we have heard stories, right? Lord Hanuman had to be empowered from Jambavant to cross the oceans to get Sanjeevani. Am I right? Is it the only example? No. Arjun, he had to be empowered by Lord Krishna to wage a war against his own blood relatives. Isn't that empowerment? All of a sudden, why women empowerment? I'm still thinking on that.
I think it's more to do with the patriarchy in the system, and if we talk about section of society, it's not just the urban population.
Yes.
But if you talk about women who
Yes.
are living in the rural areas of our country,
Yes.
I mean the kind of atrocities, the kind of challenges which that section of society also faces.
Yes.
I think that's where more of a support is required. Uplifting women everywhere.
Yes.
We don't have basic facilities, sanitization. There is so many things. You talked about gender equality. I mean, those people might not have even heard about that.
Yes.
So I think it's more to do with
Yes, and if you have to do more with that, I think creating awareness
Yes,
comes to the first place. I mean, if we don't stand up for ourselves, who else would? Isn't it? Do we require someone else to tell that we are empowered souls? No, if we don't do it for ourselves, then who else better would do it? Okay. Now coming up to the harbingers of change with a small story. 1961. A place in Maharashtra called Vidarbha. How many of you are Maharashtrians? Wow, wow. Okay, Mumbaikars? Okay, 1961, a small girl is born in Vidarbha to a Dalit family. And speaking of 60s, her father is a constable. She loves to study. She goes to school. And then what happens? People around her, her own friends, are playing with her so well, gelling with her so well, but parents, elders, stop her. Stop their own kids. Don't share food with her. Don't take anything from her. Don't sit next to her. Shockingly, even teachers were doing this to her. She was made to sit apart from the other students. She was undermined from her dreaming. How can you undermine a person from her own dreaming? She couldn't participate in any extracurricular activities. 60s, and then she comes back home. In class 7, she's pulled out of school. No surprising. And she's married off. Child marriage. She's given in marriage. Post-marriage, what a life. She's not a daughter-in-law anymore. she's that scapegoat. A kid of 12 doing taking up all the responsibilities of her house, right from cleaning, everything she does, and then the in-laws looking for excuses to simply beat her up, thrash her up. She was a victim of this physical, emotional abuse. 6 months down the line, the father comes to visit her. He's seeing a walking corpse. That was the plight of the girl. He takes her back home. Again, there's a walk of shame. Her marriage has failed, 60s. Imagine that she was scolded, she was rebuked, that she has brought dishonor to the family by coming back after getting married off. I am from down south. There is this Kannada saying which says, "Kotta hennu kulakke horagu." That means once a girl is given off in marriage, once the hand is given off in marriage, you're not just out of the family, you're out of the entire lineage. Imagine her plight those days, post-independence. She didn't want to be a burden on her father. She applied for jobs, for a constable post in a nursing school. But wherever she went, she was very young, either due to lack of education or because of her age, she used to get, rejected. Somehow she could pick up some tailoring skills and she started sewing blouses, 10 a piece. She didn't know what to do. Finally, people started whispering, only if she killed herself, the dishonor that she had wrought upon her family would be expunged. What a word. She had to oblige. The last words that came to her mind as she downed poison, the last words were, living is hard, dying is easy. She was rushed to the hospital when she was discovered by one of her aunts, aunts doing this, where the doctor said, 24 hours more, if she's not back, nothing can be done. Fortunately, she's back. She's got a second chance. This time she's sent to her uncle back in Mumbai. She learns about the government loans and schemes. She takes up, a furniture business, manages money through one of the loans and starts an NGO where she's teaching other girls like her how to come up in life. Slowly her furniture business is being built up. She begs, borrows, does something and purchases the land. By now, her reputation has increased because of her flourishing NGO as well as her furniture business, and she starts a real estate business also. During this time, there was a pioneering entrepreneur who had lost his business. He died with a great vision and leaving all his business to his sons who ended in disputes. Oh my God, think of the company. He had 3 companies, 3 firms. डूब रहा है, क्या करें? The court said, hand over the ownership to the workers. Imagine 3,000 workers as owners. Too many cooks spoil the broth, isn't it? And there are these 2 unions who are fighting, battling for supremacy. You know why? Because there was no boss there. Banks are also pouring in money. They have got money hugely from benefits also. But there's no one, no leader. What to do? They come to this upcoming businesswoman. And they say, this is the plight of her business, please help. And she said, yes. She hires consultants, she hires experts only for one reason. The thought that came to her mind was 566 starving families because of this business. And then she puts up a proposal to the board where the board says, sit on the board, take up all the responsibilities, take the liabilities. If you own your liabilities, then you're there. Finally, she does it. She does it with great might. She goes to court for 6 years. Finally, she approaches the finance minister. There are 140 crores of rupees incurred as loss or loans. Much more crores that they had to shell out as loans and interest, around 600 crores. Then the finance minister helps her out. 25% of the principal amount is brought down. The principal, the interest, everything is cut down. And the court gives her 7 years time to clear all her loans. Believe me, she did it in 1 year. 1 year. They said you have to give up all the wages to the workers within 1 year. She did it in 3 months. 3 months. That was Padma Shri Kalpana Saroj. Today, the CEO of Kamini Group of Companies. The company that she took over was Kamini Tubes from Ramanji Bai Kamini. Imagine what made her become an entrepreneur. She didn't have money. She was, dying. One day it was her sister who fell ill. And she was crying, Didi, say me, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. That day she understood what money means. That made her an entrepreneur. Today she's a net worth of $112 crore million businesses. 6 businesses in her names. She's a Padma Shri. What a woman, what a woman. The harbinger of change is Kalpana Saroj. My personal inspiration was Kalpana Saroj, and today I'm standing here as the founder of Icha Learning Solutions. Apart from this, I'm also an entrepreneur. We have a business called Skanda Enterprises. Please see to my Facebook pages. I wouldn't talk much about it. And I'm also about to start one more, the third company, Skanda Airtech, for which we are looking for investors. Hats off to Kalpana Saroj. And I bow down to all the women and the entrepreneurial spirit in them. I would love to leave you all with a quote of Kalpana Saroj herself. Ivy League degrees and fancy MBAs are not what makes an entrepreneur. Grit, determination, and a superhuman ability to have faith in yourself does. Thank you, one and all.